Katrina Foley, who is running for mayor of Costa Mesa. We start off with all these interviews asking everybody what their connection to the city is, but I don't think we need to ask you that. Your name speaks for itself. So as the race has been heating up, there's been a lot of mudslinging, but most voters just care about the issues. So today I'd like to cover both the mudslinging and the issues. So let's start with portable restrooms.
I oppose.
So what's the story behind that?
Well, the story is that Councilmember Mansour has decided, based on his polling, that there are two issues that he's going to attack me on, and he's going to distort my vote and my record. The story is that we have a problem on the west side on 19th Street that the sanitary district was trying to solve. They came to the city with an idea of a pilot program for restrooms. I did not even second the motion when Councilmember Stevens made the motion. I didn't support the motion. And then Councilmember Genis, myself, and John Stevens all voted to do a survey of the businesses. That's what we actually voted on. We didn't vote for any pilot project and any location of temporary restrooms. We voted to do a survey of the businesses in the area so that we could understand what are their concerns and how can the city address them. Thank goodness we did that survey. That survey caused us to add $100,000 into our budget to address the impacts that were being caused by homeless encampments in the area. And now we have city staff out there cleaning up, and that's what that money was used for.
So Sandy Genis, she's running against you as mayor. She voted with you on that issue.
We voted the same.
So why are you being attacked and she's not?
It's politics.
Now, ex-mayor Steve Mensinger, he's claiming on Facebook that the portable potty issue led to the needle exchange. What is the correlation there?
I have no idea. That's, again, just politics. There's no connection. Again, I oppose the needle exchange. I opposed it from the beginning. In April, the full council asked the city manager to send a letter to the state opposing the needle exchange. I don't know, a couple months ago, Councilmember John Stevens and I, we went to the Board of Supervisors. We asked the Board of Supervisors if we could join the lawsuit that they were filing to get an injunction against the needle exchange. And then we had a special meeting of the council where I initiated for a vote for the council to join the county and other cities fighting to oppose the needle exchange. I also initiated a motion to have a moratorium in Costa Mesa to prevent the needle exchange. Why? Because there is absolutely zero data and evidence to support that we even need this in our city. There's no evidence that it's something we need to solve.
So those last two questions, they covered both the mudslinging and two important issues. So I want to try to keep that up and doing both at the same time. So let's move on to sober living homes. Some people are claiming that your campaign is being financed by a sober living home operator or owner. Is that correct?
I have no idea. I saw that as well. I have been the lead on the council fighting to eliminate what I consider to be nuisance sober living home operators in our city. To my knowledge, I do not have any donations from sober living homes. If someone knows about one, please tell me the name and I will refund the money, because I scoured through my list when I heard that and I have no clue who they're talking about. I've fought to eliminate the proliferation of these nuisance sober living home operators in our city. I've traveled to Sacramento and to Washington, D.C. to get reform, because while these are businesses, under the law currently, they're not treated as businesses. They are not appropriate in traditional family neighborhoods. And it's something that is a top priority for me. So I wouldn't be taking any money from sober living homes.
Is there anything further we can do as a city, whether you as mayor or council, to further address sober living homes?
Yes. So when I was mayor in 2017, one of the first things that Councilmember Stevens and I did was we asked that we hire an outside counsel to review our ordinances. You know, we are both lawyers, and so we look at things that are legal issues through the lens of a lawyer. And we were able to strengthen our sober living home laws. We were able to increase the notice requirements so that residents were now informed that these were coming into their neighborhood. And since then, we've voted against 22 out of the 24 operators that have come before us. So what can we do more? We are asking our city staff, and we've done this for many, many months. Councilmember Stevens, I think, has been asking for this for 2 years, to create some kind of automated link on our city webpage so that when residents are living near a sober living home, they can just type in to the city webpage whatever the nuisance issues are, whether it's excessive smoking that's wafting into their homes, whether it's excessive cars and parking, whether it's, in some cases, we've had many of the residents berating and yelling at people who are next door. We have asked for this. That's one thing we could do. The other thing we can do is all collectively lobby together and get some reforms at the state level. And I, for one, think that Connie Petrie Norris is a way that we're going to get that. If she can win state assembly, we'll have a good partner.
This next question has nothing negative towards you. So what about homelessness? Another big issue for our city. What more can you do for homelessness?
Well, this is an issue across, you know, the country, and Orange County has really been dealing with this. And I think that homelessness and sober living homes are interconnected, because what we've seen is that these greedy sober living home operators are coming into our city, and they're recruiting people from out of state, and they're bringing them, and then they are running out of their insurance, or they are not following the rules of the house, and so they're kicking them out onto our streets. I can't believe the explosion of homeless addicts on our streets that we've seen in the last 4 to 5 years. What can we do better? We can do a housing first model for those individuals who are Costa Mesa residents, who've just, you know, maybe they have some mental health issues, or maybe they've fallen out of a job, or their family is financially struggling and they do want a hand up, and we can do that. We can solve the sober living home reform problem, and that will actually eliminate, I think, half of the homelessness that we're seeing in our city.
And what about crime? We had a huge increase in crime. I think it was 38% back in 2014. And it's slowly been decreasing, but not back to its original number. What more can we do to address crime?
Well, that's a several-pronged process. The first thing we can do, and I think this is why we're seeing a reduction in crime, is we can increase our police staffing. We were down to 100 police officers in 2016. And that's unacceptable and irresponsible. We're now up to about 129, even though we're budgeted for 141. So once we get to full staffing, we can employ community policing, we can employ bike patrol, we can employ our specialty divisions like narcotics and gangs. So that's one way that we can improve our community safety. Another way to improve our community safety is for us to employ the help of our residents. We have this new app, it's called My Costa Mesa. And if you are experiencing a crime in your neighborhood, or you see an uptick in crime, don't just post it on Nextdoor, because the police actually they're not allowed to follow Nextdoor. So what I see happening is a lot of people are activating Nextdoor, and they're really engaged in Nextdoor, but they're not posting it on our city app. So go to My Costa Mesa and post it on the city app, or better yet, call the police.
That leads us to unions. You've been getting a lot of negativity for accepting money from unions. Why are people so concerned, or should they be?
Well, I don't think so. I always advocate for hard-working families. You know, people don't realize that many of our residents in the city of Costa Mesa belong to unions. They are working class families. They are carpenters. They are electricians. They are teachers. They are police officers, firefighters. They are in the service industry, in healthcare. So I support working families. That is a core value for me, and stability for the middle class is really important to me.
After the last election, you, John Stevens and Sandra Janis, all dismissed the commissioners and reappointed. What was the reasoning for that?
Well, after the last election, what we heard loud and clear from the voters, with a 70% vote for Measure Y, which was the anti-growth initiative, and about the same, if not more, support for Measure AA, which was the Fairview Park Preservation Initiative, we heard that the Planning Commission and the Parks Commission, who were supporting overdevelopment, who were supporting sports fields in Fairview Park, that's not what the community wanted. And so we decided that it would be a good idea to have a more representative approach for our commissions. We have, I'm very proud of the work that we did in that regard. The people who are criticizing are not acknowledging that we increased the number of women on the commissions. We have more women serving on the commissions than we've ever had in the history of time in the city. We increased and diversified the neighborhoods from which these individuals represent. We have people representing our community on the Parks and the Planning Commission from all different neighborhoods in the city. We have a diverse group. We have Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Greens. We have people who are from different cultural backgrounds and who speak Spanish. We have people from different economic backgrounds, different ages. That was the whole point, balance.
So dismissing the commissioners, it's being used against you, but once again, Sandra Janis voted on that too.
That's right. Sandy and I have almost identical records in terms of our voting. So it really isn't, this election is not about who voted for what. This election is about whether or not you want someone who is going to be for something. Do you want someone who is going to actively pursue implementation of policy and programs that the community has said loud and clear that they want? Do you want someone who is going to take action? Or do you want someone who is just simply always going to complain and oppose something and never take action on it?
Now that we've covered the issues, let's get to what everyone really wants to know. When you were mayor, Sandra Janis voted along with 2 other council members to oust you and voted her in. So we already interviewed her, and she said it was because you did not observe the statutory and adopted policies as the power of the mayor.
One of the most important things to me is that we observe city policy, we observe city ordinances, and we treat people with respect. And unfortunately, it was a constant battle with the then Mayor Foley to observe the statutory and adopted policy limits on the power of the mayor. They were constantly being overstepped.
I don't know what she's talking about, and after it's been almost a year of asking for clarification as to what she means, what policy, what procedure, what statute, she fails to ever provide that information. So that's just an excuse for her betraying all of the hard work of many of us who supported her and who walked precincts for her and who funded her campaign and who thought that she had the same vision that we did. One where we were going to be a collaborative, inclusive council that listened to the residents and that represented all the families in Costa Mesa. She has definitely decided to go with those who were vilifying her in the last election. And to me, that just says a lot about her. I have tried so hard to stay very positive, talk about what I'm for, talk about what I want to do for the city, talk about making the city safer and cleaner and a great place for families where we can have safe neighborhoods, where all families in the city, whether you're a renter or an owner, whether you're a senior or a young person, that you feel great about living in Costa Mesa. And that is what I stand for. Yes, I want to get things done. I'm a doer. So I am going to set high standards. I think the voters expect us to set high standards, and I am going to work as hard as I can to make sure that I follow through on all the pledges that I make.
Well, she also said that relationships with other agencies were being damaged at both the local and the state level, and she claimed that the school district was so offended they wouldn't meet with the city.
I would receive calls from outside agencies that our relationships with other agencies were being severely damaged, both at the local level and at the state level, and that was really troubling to me. For example, we will be negotiating the joint use agreement with the school district next year. That's a critical part of our recreation system. But when you have people at Newport Mesa who are so offended by your mayor they won't even meet, you have to make a change.
Look, when she voted for me to be the mayor, the school district felt the same about me. And it's not the school district, because I have the endorsement of the Newport Mesa Federation of Teachers. I have, if you look at my more than 1,000 endorsements, I have hundreds of endorsements of teachers or school staff. So it's not the district, it's the school board members. If you recall, in 2016, I helped campaign against the school board members. They didn't like that. So of course they don't like me. That's fine. I feel that our school board has not done a good job for Costa Mesa. Costa Mesa schools deserve better. When I was on the school board, I worked tirelessly to improve the schools so that homeowner families would want to go to our schools. Now, why is that important? Because homeowner families invest in the schools. They have more time to be involved in the activities of the schools. So that benefits everyone, whether you're rich or poor. And as a school board member, I advocated for a new stadium at Costa Mesa High School, a new stadium, new performing arts center and middle school at Costa Mesa High School, improvements to all of our local elementary schools. I advocated for extra money for things like biology, because parents were having to pay for supplies for the biology class. I advocated for those things. I didn't just accept what the superintendent and the school district staff told me, because I had kids in school. So I knew the difference. So all this talk about the school district being offended, that's just politics. You know, there's many school people in the school community. They appreciate all the good hard work I've done. As it relates to other agencies, again, Ms. Genis can't give us any example. So I don't know what she's talking about. I have great relationships with our assembly representatives. Assembly member Sharon Quirk Silva and I partnered together on a sober living home bill. I traveled to Sacramento and spoke before the Senate Health Committee. Senator Morlock and I worked together on homelessness and trying to find solutions to homelessness. So I've actually put in a call to Senator Morlock to find out if it was him, because I didn't know. And he didn't recall. What other agencies are there in Costa Mesa? We've got the sanitary district. All of the board members on the sanitary district have endorsed my candidacy. We have Mesa Water. I haven't really had any occasion to work with anyone at Mesa Water on the board. However, I've always been supportive of the Mesa Water programming, and the Mesa Water marketing department has done lots of advocacy in our community with our schools, and I've been a big supporter there. With it, what other agencies do we have? There's no other agencies.
Well, she said at a state level it was the Fairview Development Center that they called saying, like, are you guys gonna partake in this? But then she said they were offended.
When I get calls from people at the state, so the city doesn't want to have any say in Fairview Developmental Center. I thought you guys wanted a piece of this for a park, but they're so offended by our mayor that we're losing our opportunities there. You have to make a change.
I don't think so. What happened was the Fairview Development Center, their position is that they do not want Fairview Development Center to be used as a regional homeless center. They have said that. The governor's office has explained that to our city staff. So I can't think of any time that I've had occasion to work with Fairview Development Center on anything. So I don't know, I have no idea what that is related to. The city council voted as to the zoning of Fairview Development Center property. They voted for 50% single family homes, which would be on the golf course, 25% open space, parks, ball fields, a community center. You know, I personally like to see an outdoor theater there like they have in Garden Grove. They voted for institutional zone of 25%, which will allow for some permanent supportive housing, multifamily housing. And in every meeting that I attended when I was the mayor, I conveyed what the city's position was. And that's the city's position. It's 100 acres, and we voted to divide it up in that manner. And that's all I've done is convey that. In fact, I've worked with Sacramento to try to get them to adopt legislation that accepts our zoning. So I don't know what she's talking about. It's all just vague accusations. Again, this is purely political.
What about the accusations of bullying?
And there was the bullying internally in City Hall too.
What happened with the bullying?
Well, it's just people in City Hall would have their jobs threatened. Currently, there's someone who has had a job threatened due to failure to hop to with what our former mayor wanted, and it's been ongoing. There are people that have gone to just have left the city because of that, and it creates a bad atmosphere.
There's no bullying going on, none at all. The Costa Mesa Employees Association, the Police Association, and the Fire Association have all endorsed my candidacy. They represent all of the employees of the city. They would not do that if they thought that I was a bully to the employees. There's no bullying going on. That's, again, that's purely political. Sometimes when a person is very direct and they know what they want and they express it, those that don't agree with them, they characterize that as bullying. I'm not a bully.
So just rumors?
Absolutely.
One final question.
Again, we have no evidence. Oh, let me just say this one more thing, because I think this is really important as it relates to all of these allegations. The night of November 7th, when Ms. Genis chose to go with the team that we all worked so hard to defeat, the team that is overdeveloping our city, the team that destroyed our police department and caused so many of our police to move out of the city to other agencies, the team that issued pink slips to all of our employees, which was unlawful and cost us millions of dollars in a lawsuit, the team that tried to pass a charter, the team that tried to buy the fairgrounds, okay? Now Ms. Genis is part of that team. When she chose to do that, in order to have some cover, they had to come up and say, oh, there's some kind of an investigation going on, and that was her cover. Every single month and several weeks now during the election, I contact the city attorney, the city manager, and the HR manager to find out if there's any complaints against me for any of this alleged bullying, wrongful conduct, any investigation at all. And they tell me every single time they are unaware of any investigation. They don't know what they're talking about.
But Sandy Genis said an employee, you threatened to fire them or they quit, or what happened?
I don't know. You know, this is again another false accusation. I represent employees for a living. That's what I do in my professional job every single day. I am an advocate for employees. As soon as I watched that on your show, I contacted our HR department and I asked them, has someone made a complaint against me for threatening their job that I'm unaware of? And they said they're not aware of any complaints by any employees related to that. So that did not happen. I don't know why she's saying that. It's another false accusation.
Does the mayor have the ability to fire an employee?
Absolutely not. No, we only have the ability to vote on the city attorney's contract and the city manager's contract. We don't have any say whatsoever in any other employee decision. And I've never involved myself in any employment decision. I respect our employees. Again, I'm endorsed by our Employees Association. Before I accepted the endorsement, I asked them, are you aware of anything regarding any complaints about me at City Hall from the employees? Because if so, I want to know. And they told me no, they are not aware of anything. So I try to be respectful. I try to promote our employees. When I became mayor, I tried to do a employee health and wellness program where I asked different businesses in the city to donate gift cards and wellness services. We got Elements Massage to give a gift card to all of our employees to get a massage because, you know, it's a stressful job. So I'm an advocate for employees. I don't terminate people in my own office, let alone at City Hall.
She said one of the statutory and adopted policies you weren't following was the chain of command, like you were going straight to the employee instead of going through whoever.
Again, another false accusation. Under our city council policies, we are allowed to communicate with city staff to inquire about information. So my typical practice is we get hundreds of emails from residents. So my typical practice is to respond to the resident and copy the director for whatever department it is and ask them to respond to the inquiry. That's perfectly allowable, and I would expect that that is what every council member should do so that we can be responsive to the needs of the residents. I don't know what she's talking about, but I'll tell you this, when that accusation was made against me in November of last year, I went and I reviewed all the council policies to make sure that I was complying. What I discovered was that many of our council policies were out of date and that they weren't applicable anymore, and some of them were frankly in contradiction to our current laws. And so I asked the city attorney's office and the city manager to put together a subcommittee so that we could update our council policies. If you look on the city website as of today, more than a year later, we still don't have updated council policies.
So with all of these accusations of attacks on staff and bullying, what about wanting to remove the city attorney?
Look, we voted on that in open session. Councilmember Stevens did what he calls a deep dive, and I love it when he does a deep dive because that's good for the taxpayers when he gets right down in there and uses his legal skills to expose something. What he did was he reviewed all of the register of actions and all of the cases that our current city attorney is working on for the city. And what we discovered was that there were deadlines missed. There were cases we lost or motions that we lost because of procedural errors or deadlines missed. We ourselves discovered that the city was not complying with some laws related to labor codes. And that was creating a big problem and possibly a huge expense for the city. We discovered that while sitting and having dinner at El Matador and looking up something on our phones. So we believe that we could do better and we deserve better for our city. Councilmember Stevens offered up a motion to do a request for proposals to get bids from other attorney firms in the city, or not in the city, in the county. And he gave an excellent recitation as to the justification for that. We couldn't get a third vote. It's not a rumor, it's a fact, and I'll own that because I want what is best for the citizens of Costa Mesa, and I don't want to keep wasting money on lawyer fees.
One final question. Why should the voters of Costa Mesa vote for you?
They should vote for me because I have the depth of experience to represent our city as its first directly elected mayor. I've been a room mom, a team mom, a booster president, a foundation president, a school board member, a planning commissioner, a city council member, and a mayor. I own a business, I'm a lawyer, I've been married for 27 years to my husband, Casey Swanson, who is a teacher. We have two amazing young boys who are graduated from our local public schools and are now in college. And all of that experience is what I bring to the job. I know what it is to raise a family. I know what families need and what they want for safety in their neighborhoods. I am a business owner. I write paychecks. I pay overhead. I have to manage people. I know what it takes for businesses to thrive and what we can do to support our local businesses. I'm an active community volunteer. I know how important it is that we have a community spirit in this city that's collaborative and filled with pride. I want to be the ambassador for Costa Mesa and bring all of our groups together and represent this amazing city of the arts for the future. And I respectfully ask for your vote. You can go to my website, katrinafoley.com, and there's lots of information about my positions on that. And I just thank you for doing the interview.